I grew up in the small town of Boulder City, Nevada. Boulder City is located quite close to Las Vegas. And so when I heard of the shootings at the Mandalay Bay, I knew exactly where it happened, and it even felt a little more personal, almost as though it were happening in my own backyard. And so I have followed this story as it has developed with a mixture of interest and horror. And then today, I learned that some conspiracy-minded folks have decided that they've discovered evidence of a second shooter at the Mandalay Bay. They claim that not only was there a shooter up on the 32nd floor, as reported by law enforcement, but also a second shooter, unidentified, firing at the crowd from the 4th floor. I was at first understandably troubled by this suggestion. If there was indeed a second shooter, then that would suggest that this was some kind of coordinated attack and that law enforcement or the media was lying to us. And so I investigated the evidence. At first, the claims of the conspiracy theorist appeared like they might have some merit. They had both some video and audio footage that appeared to support their contention of a second shooter. But then as I dug a little deeper, I found additional evidence that conclusively demonstrates that there was no second shooter. So my hope in producing this short video is to stop the spread of this conspiracy theory before it gains traction. Here is the audio and video evidence in favor of the conspiracy as it is most often represented. The primary exhibit in the conspiracy theory is an 18-minute video taken by an unnamed female taxi driver. She apparently was waiting in the taxi line in front of the Mandalay Bay and began recording on her phone shortly after hearing the first gunshots. The conspiracy theory here is that you can hear multiple guns being fired, some that are closer to the taxi driver, as might be expected from someone firing from only 4 floors above her, and then other gunshots that are coming from much farther away, such as might be expected from the 32nd floor. Note that I have edited this video to include only the most salient bits of evidence. I will provide a link to the original video in the description below.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like automatic gunfire. Now it sounds like it's coming from farther away. Something's going on. I'm not sure why people aren't running, but there's a security guard. What is he doing?
I got details on it. I'm at the airport. I just talked to the Metro Police over here at the airport. They said do not go to Mandalay Bay. There's multiple shots fired and they need lots of medical there. Do not go to Mandalay Bay. Stay away from there.
Alright, I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. I don't know why people aren't leaving. This is insane.
There's much more to this video, but these are the clips offered as audio evidence for a second shooter. I found them to be inconclusive at best. On the surface, it does sound like some of the shots may be coming from multiple locations, but I also note that whenever there's a loud burst, it is followed a short moment later by a second burst that perfectly matches the first in terms of rounds fired and tempo. So this sounds like it is likely being an echo reflected back from some distance away. You can most clearly hear that in this clip. The different sounding guns you can hear at different points in the video, some being louder and some being softer, does indeed suggest that multiple guns are in use, but that is consistent with the official version of the story that the shooter had multiple guns and that he moved from window to fire. Note also that at no point in the video do you ever hear two different sounding guns going off simultaneously, which is what you would expect to hear if there were multiple shooters firing at the same time.
Something's going on.
The next bit of evidence the conspiracy theorists point to comes from a bit later in the taxi driver video. The claim is that you can see the muzzle flash of a gun being fired from at or about the 4th floor. The taxi driver witness also notices the flashing, and she apparently attributes it to gunfire as well.
It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit, Alright, I'm out of here.
Upon repeated watching this video, I noted that the flashing doesn't seem to align very well with the gunfire sounds. The theorists claim that this is because sound travels slower than light, but the distance isn't large enough to account for the delay we see, nor did the number of flashes match up with the number of reports we can hear.
It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit,
At one point, I thought the source of the flash might be a reflection of the Mandalay Bay marquee in a window or something like that. After all, Las Vegas is well known for having a lot of flashing lights. But the conspiracy theorists note that other people caught this same flashing on video from the same location during the gunfire from a different angle. Here's a bit of that video.
Right there, baby.
That's the
4th floor,
gunfire.
not the 32nd. Right
One
there.
more time.
And notice the sound is off with the light because he's filming from a throw
Distance,
distance.
Again, the reports from the gun and the flashing don't align very well. The number of flashes simply don't match the sounds we hear.
Right
One
there.
more time.
This concludes the video and audio evidence from which the conspiracy theorists have constructed their claim that there must have been a second shooter. They say it is proof positive, and then spin off to speculate as to why the New World Order or the Zionists or whoever would do such a thing. I, however, still found the evidence pretty weak and remained unconvinced. Perhaps, I thought, might there be some other videos of this event that could shed some additional light on the story? Turns out, there are. Here's one I found that was filmed by someone actually in the crowd that was being fired upon. In it, you can briefly see the same flashing as seen in the other videos, but the delay between when you see the flashing and when you hear the gunshots is far too long for these elements to be related. In case you missed it, here is where the flashing light is located when the camera swings over. Note how long it is from the time that we see the light until we hear the sounds of the gunfire. Sound travels at the speed of over 1,100 feet per second. The delay from when we can see the flashing until when we hear the sounds of gunfire is a full 8 seconds. This would mean that the distance between the concert and the shooter would have been over 8,800 feet away, or 1.6 miles. The actual distance is estimated to be about 800 feet, or 1/10 of that. Even more convincing is this video posted on Instagram, which shows the same flashing light in the same location, blinking away silently well before the shooting began. Now, I don't know what the flashing light actually is. Perhaps a strobe light or a fire alarm of some kind. But clearly, it isn't associated with gunfire. Finally, like most hotels in Las Vegas, the windows on the Mandalay Bay don't open. The shooter had to break them out before he could open fire. We can see in this picture taken from the morning after the shootings took place that the windows have been broken out up on the 32nd floor. However, if there was another shooter, we should expect to see a broken window somewhere down here. But we don't. And so we can now conclusively say that this conspiracy theory of there being a second shooter has been disproven. Let's hope that this little video expose is enough to stop this ridiculous idea before it gets significant traction. The Las Vegas shootings were horrific enough without needing to invent a fictional second attacker.